Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Alpha 101. Today we're joined by Isaac Miller-Jose. Thank you, Isaac, for joining us today.
Yeah, no, my pleasure.
So you are a 23-year-old who's already been on a championship Saints team. You've played at Alpha and you're currently playing overseas at the University of Manitoba.
Yeah.
So you've already have a lot of experience in basketball. But I would like to start with where and how old did basketball come into your life?
Well, I think originally my dad was the biggest source of basketball in my life because he's someone who's played since he was a kid back in America, growing up in Missouri. And he tried to bring that influence into my life pretty early. I remember when I was just a little kid, there was like a toy basketball hoop that I would always play with, but I didn't really get into real basketball. Like I had some experience with mini ball back when I was really young, but then until probably year 11, I don't think I picked basketball up again. So yeah, basically from the ages of maybe 7 to 15, 16, I didn't really play basketball at all. And when I was coming into it in high school, I was pretty raw. Well, like incredibly raw because I was big 6'3", gangly, skinny white guy.
And this is Wellington College, eh?
Yeah, Wellington College. Yeah. So that was a big transition because I went from playing like pickup ball with my dad on Sundays to like this is what organized basketball is at Wellington College, and I really struggled. Like I was like a natural athlete when it came to athleticism and team sports. I could get along with people, but learning plays and like learning what it meant to be a basketball player and where to stand on the floor, like all that stuff just did not come naturally to me. So my first year with Wellington College was just growing pains mostly, but it was a good environment and I really grew to like the sport, and I saw myself developing and I wanted to see how far I could take it. So that's what brought me into my second and last year in Wellington College, and it went well. We didn't end up performing as well as I would have liked, but I was still young. I was still just trying to learn the sport, so I wasn't too frustrated or anything with that.
Did you play with any notable basketball players on your team during that time?
I mean, there's definitely guys that people from around Wellington will know, like Matt Zandara, Kalani as well. They were big, and those were kind of the influences. Like the year before me were all the influences that I was just trying to like catch up to their level. And then in my year there was Ethan Roach as well as like Ephraim and Sione Hilu as well, or Johnny. He was the year below, but yeah, it was a good team. Yeah.
Did you get much playing time when you were in college?
I got a bit. In my first year, I was, very much like trying to learn, so I wasn't getting a ton of minutes. But in my second year, I was getting like solid role-playing minutes. I don't think I was a star or anything. I think definitely looking back on it now, I would say that I sucked when I was in high school. Like, if I picture like the guys who are the best of the high school players today versus how I was, like, I just could not compare, It was after high school where I developed a lot of talent and started growing and started like learning how to be good at basketball. Yeah.
And who were the main people that helped you grow as a basketball player and learn?
That's something I saw a lot of influences, and I took a lot of influences from the people on my Wellington College team. That was a lot of, I think they just motivated me to try and improve and try and be better, and with the coaches as well.
Who were your coaches?
Terrence Lewis, T-Lou, in my 12 year, some people know of him, and Danny Page was my senior year high school coach, and he was actually the one that put me in contact with the coach in Canada.
Okay.
Just through a weird connection that he had, but they helped. But I think my dad just like really motivated me to be a better basketball player because he has so much passion for the game that it's kind of hard to talk with it about him and not get that same passion. You know, it's just infectious.
How much of an influence was he in your early basketball career, especially because he was a former basketball player himself?
Yeah. Well, he was never a very competitive basketball player, but he just has like a love for it. So whenever I wanted to play, like he was very happy to go out with me and shoot and try and show me like, oh, this is, you know, good technique. And, you know, obviously I'm a very different player than him because he's, you know, 5'10", 5'11", and a guard, and he looks to pass it. But you know, I tried to learn as much from it as possible, and looking to like NBA players to emulate. That's a pretty common way to like, oh, I want to have this move from this player. Okay, well, how can I get my body to emulate that?
Yeah.
You know, work at that too. And I was on the training squad, or I tried to be on the training squad for the Saints back when I was in my final year of high school in the development, you know, group or whatever. And I was not good enough for that. But I remember just learning like, okay, this is the next level.
Yeah.
Like this is what professional basketball looks like. This is what, you know, I remember Zico was assistant coach on that team.
Yeah.
And he would like try and show me things and I would just be lost. Like, especially plays, because, you know, Zico, if you've met him, he's a very detail-oriented coach, and he's someone who will know everything and then, you know, kind of expect you to know the same. And he would like run through everything with me, and I was just so young that it just like it went straight out of my head. Like I couldn't remember any of the plays, and I was just lost. I was like trying to catch up, but I got to see, okay, here are some really good players, and this is like the level that I want to be at one day. So I had motivation from there as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then in university basketball, you're surrounded by people who are also at, you know, a similar level or higher. Like my first year of university, I would say I was the worst player on the team.
And what university was it? Is this Vic?
No, I went University of Manitoba.
Oh,
like,
right away, straight away. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a pretty competitive team, like straight away. I forget how many wins we had in our first year, but we had some like really talented players. Yeah, but I came into it, and it's rare that I think you'd get a scholarship and then be the worst player on the team, but I think I had like a little bit of advantage of like, I am a raw player. Like I was athletic, I was tall, and you know, those are things that you can't really teach. And I think I just had a good attitude about it. So when I started talking to the coach, Kirby Shep, he seemed really receptive to like the idea of, okay, this is a project player. Like this is someone that will take a couple of years and hopefully be at a good point in, you know, 3-4 years down the line. And I think it paid off. I feel like I'm, you know, at that level now that I want to be at. But yeah, playing with university guys is always like another step up, where you're surrounded by people who are very skillful and they push you to be better. Whether it's in basketball or just like taking care of, you know, the little things that help you be a better player in general.
Well, I think it's, you know, I think it's a great thing because you, from what you say, it seems like you started quite late in terms of basketball, and people, I think, are seeing the potential in you. And when you mentioned about your approach to it, I think character as well plays a big part in that. And when you have a good outlook, a positive outlook, and a good character, people see that and potential and talent, then they're going to give you chances. And I think that's what it seems like you've gotten at, especially now in Manitoba. Now switching over to the University of Manitoba, the Bisons. Now, and you already mentioned Coach Kirby Shep.
Yep.
So last year is the year that you didn't play, right? And they went 7-9.
Yep.
And this is where you seem to have mentioned where you've gotten some of your growth, and it's actually quite amazing. Because Winnipeg is what I think they call it, the heartland of Canada, because it's right in the north, between Saskatchewan and
Saskatchewan,
Ontario. Yeah. What's it like in Winnipeg, if you can Because I've never been there.
Yeah, it's an interesting place. I don't have the most nice things to say about it because I show up as soon as it turns to fall and goes into winter, and I leave as soon as it's spring. So,
So you're there in the heart of winter.
I get the 8 worst months of the year in Winnipeg.
What's it like, minus 20 to 30 during winter there?
Yeah, so the lows get down to like minus 40 or 50 on like extreme ends, but the average day is probably around like negative 20 to negative 30 in the heart of winter.
Is there wind as well?
Yeah.
Ouch.
No, it's brutal. It's not a nice place to visit in the winter. I'll give it that. But it's cool. Like the situation that I've been in there, and like all the people that I've got to meet, are all super nice. And like, you know, it's Canada. Everyone's nice there. That's the stereotype, right? So there's truth to that.
Okay.
But in general, Winnipeg, cold, flat. You know, it's not the easiest place to live, in my opinion. But I don't want to talk too much shit and then get you know some Canadian people like from Winnipeg being like, "Yo, that's my home."
Well, so according to the schedule, the first game of the season will be November 4th against the Alberta Bears. And the Bisons just recently signed an up-and-coming star. I think it was the number 3 prospect in Manitoba, Simon Hildebrand.
Yeah, he's real good.
So it seems like you guys have a young up-and-coming team. What's your expectations for this coming season, especially playing with someone alongside someone like Simon Hildebrand, who seems like it'd be a potential duo that could be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited because I had to sit out last season because of eligibility issues with playing with the Saints. But I got to watch the team. I don't know, we had some struggles last season. Just I think it was a bit of a shock coming back from like COVID and not being able to play, and just trying to put a team together and had some cohesiveness. I think we ended up struggling quite a bit, and it was hard for me to watch from the side and like not be able to contribute as much as I wanted to. But no, I'm really excited for this year. Like Simon, I got to play with him in a couple postseason runs, just scrimmages and stuff, and he's really really good. He's big 6'8", I want to say 6'9" maybe. Yeah.
You're 6.
I'm 6'7", 6'8". Yeah. But he can really shoot it, and he looks like someone who's going to be dominant in the Canadian League in the next couple of years.
That's great.
So yeah, no, super excited, and like even I just love playing with all the guys there and all the people that I've known, and some have moved on as the years have gone past. People have graduated, but you get to have this like cohesive group, this cohesive family. That I'm just keen to get back there and like just see everyone play with everyone again. Yeah. What
kind of style does Coach Shep play with? What for his philosophies?
Yeah, I'd say he's a big try and teach people how to play basketball rather than teach plays kind of coach. Obviously, he can teach plays if he wants to, but I think in general he wants to develop people as players. Rather than just like robots. So you get a little bit more freedom, but the leash's length depends on who you are and how much trust he has in you based on like what you've shown over the years. So he's a good coach. I really enjoyed being coached by him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your time with the Saints. So you mentioned already that you dabbled with the development team. Or you tried for the development team and you weren't good enough. But you were actually on the Saints team last year as part of a development player. How did that come about?
Well, what do you mean by development player?
Were you a development player last year, or were you actually a player?
I was actually a player. Yeah.
Okay, I thought they brought in young players in terms of...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of... There's development players who will never see the court because they're not, I guess, a part of like the playing team, but they might get called up if something happens. And then I guess there's amateur players who also are part of like the Wellington community that they might have on like a few per year. Okay. And I was in that sort of situation. like Tom Gold as well was kind of like that last season, and a few other guys like Mani as well. Mita is a player who gets game time, but is also, you know, not like one of the imports or one of the like guys who gets paid a ton of money or.
Oh,
you know.
okay.
Yeah, so I got some minutes, not a ton of minutes, but yeah, it was good.
What was that experience like?
It was real cool. I had a lot of fun that season, and it was great to see what life would be like as a pro, semi-pro athlete. Like, you know, your life is dedicated to basketball, and you're surrounded by people who have the same goals as you, and like you're trying to build something. So I enjoyed it, and I think getting to play under Zico Coronel has also completely changed the way I looked at basketball.
In what way?
He's probably one of the most detail-oriented coaches I've ever met. Just the way he talks about things and how much effort he puts into it, and he'll just find like clips, like specific clips. He can just like think of like a specific clip that happened in a game like 10 months ago and explain exactly what happened, and it's all in his head. So he's just like mentally really there, and he's sort of opened my eyes about how space is created in basketball, and you know how you should play defense, and I think just like mentally more than anything else, that season just gave me such a huge boost. Like, I don't know, skill-wise I developed that much more, but just like in terms of what I'm looking for on the court and what I can see, it's just, you know, opened my eyes a lot more.
Would you feel that's the biggest growth you've made in your young basketball
Yeah,
career so far?
yeah, I would say so. I think it's let me slow down on the court a little bit, because I used to just be athlete, run, jump, and go a million miles an hour, and now I'm like trying to look and see, okay, what options are actually on the floor, and can I make, you know, good decisions? Can I make reads? Which I think is necessary as, you know, my career develops, and you know, if I want to go somewhere and have longevity, then it'll require me to be, you know, a smart basketball player, not just athletic. Yeah.
What was your favorite part of the entire Saints experience, or that championship experience?
It's tough, because like winning the championship is amazing, but it's just kind of like the thing you get at the end, because we put in so much work throughout the season, and our trainings and practices were so tough and so physical and competitive that it felt like we deserved it at the end. It wasn't like a surprise. It wasn't like, oh, amazing, we got this thing. It was like we put in so much effort, so much work, and we took so much pride in our work that like the championship at the end, I felt like, you know, it's nice, it's cool to have that title, it's cool to be able to say, you know, I won a championship with the Saints, but, you know, it was more fun getting to learn and grow with the guys, and being able to like see the effort that I put in, and then, you know, it results in having a good team, you know, chemistry, basically. And I feel like we had a pretty good season overall.
Pretty good. I mean, you guys went 16-2. It was a pretty good final, right? You guys got off to a big lead early, but the Hawks came back, and then you guys won by 2 points. Was it 77-75? Was it?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I remember Kerwin getting a clutch block at the end that stopped them from tying it, and then other than that, yeah, that one was actually interesting, because our whole philosophy for the year was ball screen oriented, very like European basketball, and like, you know, very execution based, and the Hawks switched everything. And it was kind of like, oh, okay, so like obviously we had things in mind, and like different ways to react to a switch, but most teams throughout the season either hedged or dropped in ball screens. So we had like perfected that, and we had just been like slicing teams up with that. And then they switched, and it was like, okay, now basketball players have to be basketball players, and we have to like actually play good basketball and not just follow the X's and O's.
Yeah.
But it was exciting, yeah, because it was close.
So, where do you feel like you are with your game right now, as of today?
I'm not sure, because I haven't played at a competitive level in the last year or so, because I had to sit out with the Bisons for last season, and I haven't been practicing or playing with the Saints this season, so I almost don't know. I've been playing some pickup ball, I've been playing less competitive stuff, but I just want to see. I want to get back with my team in Canada and really measure where I'm up against. I can't say where I am right now.
What do you feel are the strengths of your game if someone asked you that question?
Strengths would typically I'll just say athleticism. But I think I just try and do all the little things that are maybe not as important to some other people. I want to play really good defense. I don't.
And you do play really good defense for us.
Thank you. And for me, that's kind of a pride thing. You can't just let someone beat you. And stuff like rebounding as well. Some people see someone grab a lot of rebounds and they're like, oh wow, he's really good at rebounding. But whenever I'm grabbing a rebound, it's I should grab that rebound. It's not I should be praised for it. It's the ball is coming anywhere near me. That's my ball.
Yeah.
It's mine.
That's a great attitude to have, because you see plenty, even you see it in the NBA, you see plenty of 7-footers or even 7'2", 7'3", and they only grab 3 or 4 rebounds a game. They don't go and get it. They just think the height is gonna come right to them. Yeah.
And there's other people Russell Westbrook's an example where he'll hunt the ball. And I don't think I'm at that level where I'm every ball that goes up, if it's coming off the rim, it's mine. But I want to get to that point. I want to do all the little things, just better.
Yeah.
And then scoring and playmaking, that's just something that I can think about later. Because if I do everything else, then I can make my team better.
And also rebounding. I think a lot of non-players don't realize this, but rebounding is also defensive boards is part of playing defense. That's your job in defense, and offensive boards is part of offense. And people, I think, maybe don't think about that often.
Yeah.
And one thing that did surprise me, because you played at the Alpha Battle Royal tournament, I think it was 2 years ago, for the Alpha team.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed by your ability your offensive awareness, your court awareness, and your ability to pass the ball, especially when you had a great connection with Jacob Tapiata. I think you guys just played really well off each other, and I was really surprised by that, because I haven't seen you play that much up to that point, and that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
But what do you feel like you need to work on the most at the moment? Because before we started this interview, you said you were starting to hit the gym a little bit more. Do you feel your physical, how to say, your muscle, you need to gain more muscle and size? Yeah.
So there's a few things that throughout my development that I've known that I've really needed to work on. When I was growing up, I was real skinny, and I would just get pushed around by anyone. So that was when I got to university, my coach Kirby was just okay, your success or your failure will be determined by how much time you spend in the gym and how much food you eat. And I was yeah, no, you're right. So it's been something that I've taken really seriously, and I've managed to put on probably 20-ish kgs since I got to university.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty big transition and completely changed the way I play. And I think another thing that I know that I need to work on, and I've needed to work on for a while, is make sure that I can reliably hit the three. If I can hit the three and I can also drive it and I can pass it, then that's the type of player that someone wants on their team. And it's just an extra offensive threat that I can add. And other than that, I need to get my knee healthy. That's one thing. So I've got tendonitis in my knee, and I've had it for a while, and I think it's just something that needs to be worked on through strength and conditioning for a long period of time. It's just so I can get it back to like healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not even trying to be like a 60-inch vertical guy or something. I'm just trying to get my legs healthy. That's all. Yeah.
All right. In terms of future goals and aspirations in basketball, what would they be, would you say?
Well, I'm still unsure what my basketball career will look like after I finish university. Because part of me is interested in trying to find a scholarship to a post-grad university or do something somewhere else in the world that you know I can continue my studies. But I also want to like try and get into the NBL, like New Zealand NBL, and like make a name for myself and like see where that can take me. Because I love basketball, I love playing basketball and everything about it. So I'd love to make that a career. Like the idea of making money, making a career, life off of just having basketball is crazy to me. That it's potentially an option. And that'll just be about, you know, making sure that I stay healthy, keep on my strength and conditioning, and just continue building skills. And over time, I think I can be at a spot where I'm confident that I can be a professional basketball player.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you study?
Psychology.
Psychology, oh?
Yeah.
That could be pretty good for basketball court as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's the option to be a sports psychologist where, you know, you can, you know, maybe hunt down a team that pays well and still be a part of the sport, but have a, you know, backseat where your body doesn't take quite a beating.
Is that something that you've thought of if basketball as a basketball player doesn't, you know, come to fruition, do you still want to be involved in the industry itself, either as a psychologist or some other way, or?
Yeah, I'd like to. Like, I just have a passion for sports in general, and just being connected with people that you don't really get in any other facet, you know? Like, in companies, they say that it's a team environment, but it's not really. Like, people don't really have each other's backs, but in a, you know, basketball team or in a community like the basketball community, like it's really supportive and everyone's trying to look after each other. So I really like that, and I'd like to be a part of that for, you know, the rest of my life. But yeah, it depends. If I can find an option that my, you know, career can be based around that would be amazing.
Yeah. It's even pretty cool anyway, because you know, basketball as a career, basketball players, you know, it's pretty short. So when you get into your 30s and 40s, you can just transition easily into you know, what you studied as well in terms of the industry. So you've played alpha. You know, I was actually looking at your profile, and you actually played a lot more than I remember. There was a lot of seasons where you only played like 3, 4, 5 games or something like that. But I mean, you've played 2 full seasons. And in that time, you've made the 2-time All-Defensive Team. You won the Defensive Player of the Year back in 2020. And you made it to back-to-back finals with, first it was OVO No Excuses. Yeah, where you guys lost to 99 Problems. And then the next season, you guys made it back, but under a different name, Trench Bros.
Well, I think it was OVO Legends.
Okay. And then you guys lost, which is probably the best final we've ever had. It was against the Raw Dogs, 63-61.
Still haunts me to this day that I had, you know, the putback rebound for game tying, and it just bounces off the back iron. That sucks.
What's been your alpha experience so far?
It's been awesome. Like, this is definitely the Premier League in Wellington. Just the amount of effort that you put into, you know, making sure everything runs smoothly and creating like a really good product for all the basketball players in Wellington. Like, if anyone were to ask me what league should I play in, I'd be like, try and get an alpha league. Like, they just do it better with all the stats, all the replays, all the write-ups. Like, it's all just been a really cool experience, and the competition level too is like really good. And it's, you know, Wellington, it's a small community, so I've obviously played with and against basically everyone, you know, in the Alpha League, but it's been cool. It's just a higher standard, I think, for, you know, basketball leagues.
It's quite amazing because you guys, for that second run with OVO, you guys had a stacked team, and I was surprised that you guys still lost. Because I mean, you had Kenneth Tuffin, yourself. Did you have, who else? You had Ethan Roach.
I think Isaac Morrison.
Yeah. Leon Henry was not on that team. That was the
No.
previous season, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's a pretty stacked team. And,
Yeah, no, but the best part about it was like the energy that everyone had that season.
Yeah.
I can't quite explain it. It was just like lightning in a bottle, I guess. That everyone was super excited. The bench was always like just had way more energy than any other team in the league, and it just created like a community around it. Like those people wanting to get on the team, and it was so much fun. Like I've probably never had more fun on a team than with the OVO Legends that season.
Wow, that's awesome.
I wish we won the championship. That would have made it even better, but
You guys are going up against a tough team as well, the Raw Dogs. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, they played together for ages, and they just mesh so well, and there's really no weak links on there. Like they're all solid players.
Yeah, and another thing you touched upon the atmosphere. I think we never had a final with that many spectators as well. I think a lot of people were coming up to see you guys play, and it just created a great. The whole stands were full and stuff.
Yeah.
That was just great stuff. All right, so now I'm going to go into the end portion of our interview where I ask you a series of questions. This was invented by, made famous by Bernard Pivot, who's a French TV media person. I kind of switched some of the questions, but just to get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
So the first question is, what is your favorite word?
It's super nerdy, but the word nomenclature.
Nomenclature, okay.
Yeah. I love that word. I don't know why. It just feels nice to say. I guess
How many times do you actually use it in everyday conversation?
Oh, like never. But it's just something that like you'll catch it once in a while in like academic studies, and you're just like, nice.
All right. What is your least favorite word?
I don't know if I have any like words that I just hate.
Yeah.
Maybe grotto.
Really? Okay.
It's throwback.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I'd say music.
Okay.
Just in general. That's something that like completely changes my mood depending on what I'm listening to.
Do you listen to a lot of music before you play in university?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd say that, usually I'm listening to stuff in the locker room beforehand. Even with, like, the OVO Legends and Trench Bros, we used to go into, like, the ASB locker rooms and just blast music. And it just creates a fun environment, and, different music for different situations.
What's some of your go-tos? Artists?
Yeah, I like Kendrick. Yeah, but it's weird. I'll listen to anything.
Even folk and country music?
Not country, some folk maybe, depending.
Really?
Yeah. Stuff that's like maybe more pop than folk. It's just a little bit more fast-paced and a little bit, less, droney.
Yeah.
But country, hell no. And it's terrible because Winnipeg is just like country central.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like
I don't know that.
middle of the prairies, which basically means it's a bunch of like farmers and a bunch of people who are comfortable out on the farm, out in the country, and the music reflects that.
Have you done any farm work?
No.
Out there, no?
Not for me.
What turns you off?
Bad attitudes, just people who are not just have a bad mindset. I think that's the biggest thing, because I feel like through psychology, and like both my parents are psychologists, and
Really?
yeah, my mom does clinical psychology and my dad is a lecturer at Vic, and he does psychology and stats. So just through them, like I think I've ended up observing and trying to like understand why people act or think the way that they do. And when people just have a really negative mindset, it's frustrating me. It's disappointing.
You've got to watch out around you. You got your family, and you guys are going to be psychoanalyzing you. What is your favorite curse word?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that question. Fuck is like a pretty all-around good curse word. It can be used in a lot of different situations and has a lot of different meanings depending on the situation. So, pretty plain, but
Versatile, though?
yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
good question. Does music count? Yeah, music's alright, you know. Yeah, I can't think of any specific sound that I would be like, yeah, that's my sound. Oh, wait. The net, like a swish, beautiful. Especially when the net like rings off the back of the bottom of the iron. I don't know if some rims do that, some don't. But when it just like makes like that ding sound from the net swishing, it's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite professional basketball player?
Like honestly, I'm not a huge professional sports fan. Like I don't follow many professional sports like game to game. I'll like keep up with them. Generally know how people are doing throughout the season or anything, but I don't end up catching a lot of games. But I'll just say like Steven Adams, just because he's you know a QE who made a huge impact overseas and opened up a lot of opportunities for people to like you know that is actually a pathway. Because before him, I think maybe there was maybe another New Zealander in the NBA.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think of his name, but
okay.
But there wasn't really a pathway for kids who were looking to play, you know, overseas.
Yeah.
And he opened that up. So just a lot of respect to him, and just how he presents himself is just you know inspiring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he? What about your favorite NBA team? Since you don't follow sports, I assume you don't have one then?
Just say the Grizzlies, because
The Grizzlies?
Steven Adams is up there.
Alright. What is your idea of happiness?
No, happiness is like a complicated subject, because it's, you know, it means so many different things to so many people. For me, I think happiness is just being at peace, and just being like content within a situation. It doesn't really mean like having success or being, you know, accomplishing things that are really impressive. It's more about if you're happy and content in the situation that you're in with the people that you're around, more than anything, to me.
That's a good answer. What is your favorite film?
Film, Seven Psychopaths. I think that's a real
Really?
one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
That's a real. I haven't heard that name in a while. Okay.
Yeah, no, I just love the dark, like offbeat humor, and I love Christopher Walken. That he's not even trying to be funny, but he's hilarious. Just the way he speaks, the way he presents himself, oh, it's beautiful.
Did you ever see one of my favorite films of his was back from the mid-90s, The Prophecy, where he plays a fallen angel. It's surprisingly good. It's kind of like a horror thriller film, but he did a really good job. I really suggest that if you get a chance.
Well, I'll take a look.
What is your most memorable basketball experience?
That's tough. Like I would probably just say playing with the Saints.
Yep.
Probably say the entire season, not just like winning the championship. Especially the practices, I think were especially memorable to me, because that was like where the most work was done and where you could see the progress.
Yeah.
And then in the games was where, you know, you just see the game, you don't see any of the work that goes into it. So being able to see behind the curtain of like what a professional, you know, athlete's life is like, it opens your eyes, and that is really memorable to me.
All right. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Good job. Yeah.
That's good enough?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview, Isaac. We wish you luck in the upcoming season for the Manitoba Bisons, and we hope to see you back when you graduate up in Wellington.
Well, thanks for having me. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this.
All right, thank you.